We have three, maybe four champions now. The spring summer football leagues are either winding to a close or that second summer season is really going forward, and we'll see how that goes. But I just want to. I think the Great Lakes Arena Football League. I'm pretty sure the Ironmen have that locked up. I'm not quite sure how that all worked out. You know, they were playing games against American Arena League 2 teams. I think they had a game against the Miners, not sure, but I'm not including them in this list right now. But in the American Indoor Football League, the Columbus, Georgia Lions beat the Corpus Christi Tritons. I think overall the AIF, they survived their first season. The Stampede and some of those other teams are, I guess, staffed with people that have experience anyway. You know, I don't really know what their long-term plan is, especially since they lost essentially three teams during the season, including that debacle in Mississippi, which was awful. But we're there. The National Arena League, the Beef, which are undefeated for maybe even 3 whole years. I'm not sure. You know, they were with the CIF, and then they moved over to the National Arena League and continued to win, which is kind of unusual when teams click up in leagues. And the National Arena League, I do think, was a click up from the CIFL. But they beat Sioux City by only 1 point, so it was a competitive game. That's one of the complaints I think a lot of people have when these teams play other leagues, is that the games just aren't competitive. But that brings me again to the American Arena League 2, which is supplying teams. And with the instability of these leagues, and sometimes teams running out of financing mid-season, it is good to know that they maybe that's their niche. Maybe that's, you know, what they've found to be the Washington Generals for other leagues. But again, the AAF 2 does have teams like the Wheeling Miners, which are really pretty good. So we'll see how that goes. The UFL had its championship game, and some good things came out of that. I think they were unlucky, and they had hoped that the Battlehawks would win and have that home championship game, and it would be, you know, they'd have 40,000 plus, maybe hit 45,000 for the first time, and that would be their championship. But they had the Stallions against the Brahmas. The Stallions undefeated for 2 seasons, I think it is, and they had 27,000 people plus in the stands. Thank you to the people of St. Louis. I'm sure there were some people who traveled from Birmingham and traveled from San Antonio, but it was probably mostly people from St. Louis, which again, you know, the casual sports fan who wants low-cost, high-quality sports entertainment is going to go to that game, even if the home team isn't there. So I think that is a plus. I don't know, however, that the UFL is quite as stable as we would like to think. I don't think there's going to be much expansion. Maybe 2 teams. I think we can hope for 2 teams coming up. But Dwayne Daryl Moose Johnson, you know, made some statements that, you know, he wanted the people needed to know that they're committed to their markets. That was a good thing for me, because I really did think Birmingham might fall by the wayside, but I do think, you know, they're committed to Birmingham. They're obviously committed to St. Louis. That's a market that's won for them. They're committed to D.C. and they're committed to Michigan, which is, you know, a big deal, because I don't think that is a team that has performed at the level that they wanted them to. Anyway, you know, looks like the UFL is going to get that season 3, and, you know, again, I think we can hope for a couple team expansion. I personally wouldn't mind if they had Western expansion and they did the bubble format for a year or 2. You know, I think if you got into like the stadium that the Galaxy from Major League Soccer plays in, if you got a team there in Los Angeles, like the Wildcats played there, that's a right-sized stadium. That can be done, and you know, that might even be the place to have a hub for the West Coast. Seattle was a market that was working. There's a lot of good things that can be done, and you know, it's really, I think, centers around choosing the right market. And a big part of that is places that are football deserts, places that have been wronged by the NFL, like San Diego, and you know, having a facility. If you're playing summer football, you probably want an indoor facility that's capable of that. I don't know. I have some free advice for the commissioners of these various leagues, but that free advice is worth every penny. Just a quick mention about the Arena League. They definitely have come out with a stronger launch than the Arena League. So the TAL, I think they're doing what they wanted to do. They've got just the 4 teams. They've played, I think, 3 games each. There's definitely teams that are stronger than others. The gameplay itself, I've watched parts of the games. It's not great, but the presentation is pretty good, and they will make moves forward. I think the six aside thing is not great, but again, the biggest problem that it creates is if they wanted to have those interleague games, somebody somewhere would have to make a concession, and we will see. But again, we did have, I think it was the Harbor Monsters playing. They played a preseason game against the Dallas Falcons, which I think are now the Dallas Wolves. So we will see. So, and I'm just going to finish today with a little free advice for the commissioners of all the leagues. One, long-term preparation. I think really 2 years out before the launch of the league, because this IFL, the International Football Alliance, I like it. I like that kind of stuff. Even if they never play a snap, I've been enjoying watching the whole thing. But having some interns that are kicking out internet product right now in English and Spanish. They intend to have 3 teams in Mexico, but if your long-term goal is to have a footprint in Mexico, America, and Canada, I think kicking out that product in English and Spanish now, having lots of content would be a good move forward. And then I just the marketing, before you've ever played a game, you still want to have that brand recognition. So I like how teams like the Blizzard of the Indoor Football League, they have a sort of weekly chat. I've watched that or parts of it a couple times. If you do that in a bar in the local area, and you do things to, again, have the immediate constituency there, where you've got a photo booth, you bring the mascot, you bring a couple of cheerleaders, and whatever, you bring guys in uniform, you get those pictures with the branding all there, so that later on it'll be easier to create a top of mind situation. And I think overall, as a fan of this sort of stuff, it has been a good period of time. And there's going to be people that are disappointed. There's going to be fans that wind up kind of out in the cold. There's going to be markets that are going to be abandoned. But I think as we go into the my personal favorite, the NCAA season is starting in about a month and a half or 2 months from now. I've still got content with the National Arena League. I've still got stuff that's out there, and I'm enjoying it. I'd love to hear what people have to say. Thanks again to everybody that's gone to our community section. Thank you for all of the clicks. It really helps, and have a great day.